One of the problems with recruiting for investment banking is not the knowledge or skills you acquire, but the access to talk with real investment bankers to put your best foot forward. Our sponsor, WSO Academy, can provide those connections with 60 head mentors who are finance professionals at top firms like Goldman, Centerview, and JP Morgan. Imagine being able to get on the phone within 24 hours with one of the Academy's 1,300 mentors right before a critical interview. Get on the waitlist for WSO Academy today by clicking the link in the show notes or by visiting wallstreetoasis.com/academy.
When one company acquires another, what do you do with all those random miscellaneous expenses? We'll find out today on Investment Banking Insights. All right. Welcome to Investment Banking Insights. This is the only show dedicated to helping you learn both the technical and non-technical aspects of investment banking. My name is Alex Mason and I am your host. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's go ahead and get into today's question, which is this: how do you account for miscellaneous costs in a merger model? How do you account for miscellaneous costs in a merger model? Now, in a real life deal, when one company is buying another or one company is merging with another company, we know how things go when it comes to the company's assets and liabilities, shareholder equity, goodwill gets created, all of that fun stuff that we've covered over these last few weeks and also even before in earlier episodes. And so all these things get moved around, but it's not just about the assets and liabilities of the companies themselves that change hands. You see, there are very real costs associated with mergers and acquisitions, costs that these companies have to pay in order to actually make the transaction happen. And here are some examples. One of them is financing fees. We know that there are three ways that a company can buy another company. They can use cash on hand, they can borrow money, or they can pay in stock. And if they're borrowing money, guess what? There's going to be an interest expense for that debt. So we have to build that interest expense into the merger model. And so that's one example. Another example are just the transaction costs for being advised on the deal. This is how investment banks make money, ladies and gentlemen. They make money by advising companies. And so they charge fees to these companies for transactions such as mergers and acquisitions. So the investment bank is going to make some money. That's going to flow to the top line of the investment bank's income statement, but it is an expense for the companies involved. And then there are also some miscellaneous expenses that will come up. And one example that I thought of for this is legal fees. If you're buying a company, you want to have all of your ducks in a row, you want all the legal paperwork squared away, someone to evaluate the purchase agreements to help you write it up and make sure that everything is squared away. Maybe there's some regulatory issues or potential issues that you want to make sure are squared away. So you're going to need a legal team. And so, the lawyers are going to get their cut too because of the legal aspects of an acquisition or a merger. So those are some examples of kind of like these other costs that are related to the deal actually happening. Now, how do we account for these? Well, one thing is most of these items are expensed. So there's kind of two things you can do with costs. You can expense them or you can capitalize them. When you expense something, you're basically treating it as a real expense for their respective company. And in this case, you're building those costs into your model. But for financing fees, it's a little bit different. Financing fees, you would capitalize these costs. And when I say capitalize, you basically kind of treat it as an asset. It's on the balance sheet, and you would amortize this cost over time. And so that's the difference between financing fees and other types of miscellaneous costs in a transaction. So for financing fees, they would belong on the asset side of the balance sheet. And then all of the other costs, guess what? They come out of retained earnings of the firm. So the retained earnings balance goes down by the amount of these costs. And so the balance sheet in your model, in your merger model, is going to be adjusted for those costs as well. So that's how you would account for all these little miscellaneous costs in a merger model for a merger or an acquisition. And yeah, that's today's question. All right. I hope you're doing amazing. Hope you're having a great start to this beautiful week. I will see you later. This is Alex Mason with Investment Banking Insights. Have a great one.